Good morning, fellow supervisors. Can you hear me? This is Supervisor Wickham.
Green. Good morning, Supervisor Wickham. Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to you as well. I can hear you loud and clear.
Great, and we hear you.
Good morning, Jake. Happy New Year to you.
Yes, good morning, Harley.
Is it 9? I don't know for protocol who calls the meeting in. I do? Oh, okay. Welcome, everyone, to the first Dubuque County Board of Supervisors meeting of the year 2022. So happy New Year to all. It's wonderful to see people with us here in the boardroom. We are on the 4th floor of the courthouse, and we're also in the virtual world, which is where our colleague, Supervisor Wickham, is joining us today. So at this time on the agenda, the first issue is whether we wish to move anything on the agenda from the order that it's listed in. Do we need to do that? I know we're going to swear in a new treasurer today. Did we make any time arrangements with?
No, that'll be, that's under the resolutions.
Correct. Okay.
So we're perfectly fine with that timeline.
So we'll move then to the first item on the agenda, which is the election of a chairperson and the vice chairperson for 2022. And that's always done at the first meeting of the year by statute. So at this time, we're looking for a motion for the chairperson for the County Board of Supervisors for the year 2022. And I would be happy to make the motion to have Supervisor Harley Potoff serve as our chairperson. Is there a second to that motion?
Would second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I would assume since you seconded Supervisor Potoff that you're willing to take that role.
Yes, sir.
We have a motion and a
Wonderful.
second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries unanimously. So at this time, I would hand the gavel over to Supervisor Potoff. The next item is the determination of the vice chairperson.
Who is interested in filling the seat as vice chairperson?
I'm happy to do that capacity if that's helpful to you.
Okay.
And as always, I'm always available to serve when called.
Okay. I would make the motion to appoint Supervisor McDonough as the vice chair. Is there a second?
I will second the motion.
Have a motion and a second for Supervisor McDonough as vice chair. Any discussion? All in favor, signify.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next, we will move on to the proclamations. Did you want to read that, Supervisor McDonough?
You bet. I will read the proclamation into the record. Delighted to do so. Proclamation, January 2022, National Human Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Whereas by presidential proclamation, each January has been designated National Human Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. In addition, January 11th has been designated National Human Trafficking Awareness Day. And whereas the issues of sex trafficking and labor trafficking are a violation of human rights, the hope of this proclamation is to raise awareness of these issues. And whereas the County of Dubuque wishes to acknowledge the following organization for its work to combat human trafficking, the Tri-State Coalition Against Human Trafficking. And whereas the United Nations Global Plan of Action has 3 pillars upon which it stands, quote, protect, prevent, prosecute, unquote. We invite all residents of Dubuque to educate themselves on this issue and to support these 3 pillars to help eradicate the problem. And whereas human trafficking is a national, state, and local issue, we invite all civic leaders and citizens to support the efforts of the Tri-State Coalition to train all local hotel motel staff and city bus drivers in recognizing the signs of trafficking. And whereas we commend the Tri-State Coalition Against Human Trafficking for their ad campaign consisting of a city bus wrap and the billboard on Highway 20. And whereas Governor Reynolds will present the Tri-State Coalition Against Human Trafficking an outstanding anti-trafficking service award on Thursday, January 13th, 2022. Proclamation adopted this third day of January 2022.
I will make a motion to approve the proclamation.
I will second that.
You have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That carries. Is there anyone that would wish to speak on behalf of the proclamation, sister?
Good morning. I am Mary Lou Irons from the Tri-State Coalition Against Human Trafficking. I am pleased that this event is happening, and that proclamation really says it all and tells about our local group. The only thing I would add is that in addition to the proclamation, I want people to be aware that we are working with both of the local school districts to make the students, teachers, and parents aware of this issue, not only in Dubuque County, Dubuque, Iowa, the nation. The other thing that I would point out and add to this is a little round of applause for a member of ours from the Tri-State group. Deb Albert is one of our local members who has been a driving force with the state's Department of Public Safety to create a new video so that we can be going into the hotels and motels and training those employees. The bus wrap was mentioned, and I would be amiss if I didn't point out Sister Irene Lukvar, who has worked diligently to train the Juul drivers, and final step was to get that wrap on that bus. I hope you all have seen that wrap. I see it quite often. So with that, I thank you for letting me speak this morning, and anyone who's interested in joining our group, we meet the first Tuesday of each month. Still doing Zoom, but we hope to begin meeting in person. Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
Didn't know the picture taking was part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Where's Irene?
We all
Oh, this is my first.
yeah.
Irene, here we go.
You ready?
Ready. Thank
Take
you.
one without my mask. Would you just say, I forgot again. I'm sorry. Even though we just talked about it. Let me get one here. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
You're gonna sign that? Do you do that now?
Jay will sign it when he comes.
Okay.
But it is effective with the two
Yeah.
signatures, I think, yes.
Okay, so I will make sure that.
With the big check. Thank you, Ed, for making the big check happen.
Yes, well, I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Yep, thanks for all your support.
You're missing all the photo ops today, Jay.
I do get to see them though. You guys look great.
And next, we'll move to the approval of the minutes of the December 20th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second that motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent items, Class C liquor license for Dubuque County Fairgrounds and Class LC liquor license for Thunder Hills Country Club.
I will make a motion to approve the Dubuque County Fairgrounds and Thunder Hills Country Club liquor license.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by aye.
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 Aye. Motion's carried. Next is procurement procedures. There are no procedures for this meeting. Public hearing. Start with the proof of publication for the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to approve the proof of publication.
Then I will second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the proof of publication. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Carries. Move on to the public hearing for Dubuque County Sheriff's Office 855 Central Roof Project.
What is the date of the public hearing on that? That's today, right? Okay.
So we have the public hearing.
We need a motion to open the public hearing.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
And I will second that.
Have a motion and a second to open public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Your open public hearing. Does anyone wish to address the board regarding the roof project at 855 Central Avenue? Anyone at the courthouse can go to the podium and state your name. Anyone on Zoom can raise your hand and you'll be given time to speak. We have no one in chambers. Do we have anyone on Zoom? Don?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I will second that motion.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries.
So back to Supervisor's comment, I would just note, if I might, Chair, that the packet itself contained the specifications, very clearly the specifications of the roof project, and that they had set forth, you know, all the notice that is needed, I think, for the public. So I just wanted to draw that. Obviously, we are aware of that from the public, but to the public itself, that there was a very complete information put in the packet.
Okay. Thank you. It appears that bids would have to be received prior to 4:30 on Friday, January 28th. Bids will be opened at the January 31st meeting of the Board of Supervisors.
I'll make a motion to approve that notice to bidders.
And I will second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the request to bidders. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. That carries. We move to approve the plans and specifications. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Resolution to approve the plans and specifications for the Dubuque County Sheriff's Office 855 Central Roof Project.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the resolution for the plans and specifications. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Move to the approval of plats. There are no plats for approval at this meeting. Action items. First is a resolution to approve the hiring of deputies, assistants, and clerks.
I'll make a motion to approve that resolution.
And I will second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the hiring of deputies, assistants, and clerks. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution carries. Next is a resolution to approve the code of conduct, code of ethics for the supervisors. We'll read that into the record. You bring that up, Don. Code of Conduct, Ethics, Dubuque County Supervisors. Whereas the Office of Dubuque County Supervisor is the highest elected office of local government in and for Dubuque County, and whereas members of the Board of Supervisors are tasked with overseeing the taxation, operations, budgeting, and funding of several county offices and nonprofit organizations, and whereas the Dubuque County Board of Supervisors is tasked with addressing funding requests, both internal and external, which may require extensive debate and consideration. Whereas the Dubuque County Supervisors meetings are typically public meetings, but occasionally the board requires closed session meetings which are not open to the public. And whereas members of the Dubuque County Board of Supervisors are public servants, having been elected by the citizens of Dubuque County, and therefore wield equal power and professional responsibilities with one another. Accordingly, members of the Board of Supervisors shall conduct themselves in a manner to reflect professionalism and respect towards their colleagues at all times during meetings. Whether such meetings are open or closed to the public, members shall not criticize, ignore, harass, belittle, insult, or in any other manner treat with disrespect other members of the Board of Supervisors during any meeting of the Board of Supervisors, whether open or closed to the public. Failure to comply with this code of ethics may result in admonishment by the chair on a 2/3 vote on a motion for same. Such behavior is further subject to all applicable local, state, federal processes, procedures, and remedies.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution adopting the code of conduct / ethics.
And I will second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution passes. Thank you, everyone. Next is a resolution to approve the loan request from Sunnycrest Manor Board of Trustees. Sunnycrest Manor Board has requested loan in the event that they would need it to complete the project they're working on at Sunnycrest. Due to the COVID, prices of the materials have gone up some. They're requesting $750,000, no interest over 24 months beginning in 2023 if funding is needed. Is there any discussion on that between my colleagues?
Certainly I favor this. They were here to see us in December, and they really, just before they proceed, as I understand it, want to have that access to a cushion so that they can proceed in confidence as the prices tend to fluctuate. But, you know, they are ours. They are the taxpayers. Sunnycrest is our county facility, so it makes sense to let them proceed with something they've been working on for many years, and we do have the fund balance available to give them that cushion over time. So I think it's a very smart thing, and I was happy to see that it's on the first agenda for the year.
Do you have a motion on the resolution?
I will make a motion to approve the resolution for the Sunnycrest loan.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Next is a resolution to approve the plans and specifications to follow IDOT standards.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution, to follow the Iowa Department of Transportation standards.
And I will second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. It carries. Next is a resolution to approve the annual resolutions relating to the duties of the county engineer. We have Anthony here if he'd want to speak to those, or
yeah, good morning. So these are yearly resolutions that you guys approve of the county engineer to, I guess, you know, go have duties upon myself to take care of in your absence, I guess. So the execution of certification of completion, that is to close out projects on farm to market routes with the DOT. You guys put that duty upon me to make sure that those projects are closed out. The issuance of weight restrictions, that would be the one for bridges that need to be embargoed for weight restrictions. So I'm allowed to go out and put those embargoes on the bridges after a load rating is done. Road closures, that would be, you know, typical for flooding situations or construction that you guys give me the authority to go close those roads for those things. Execution of moving permits. So we get lots of moving permits for single trips and annual permits for oversized overweight freight. And so we do a lot of permitting through our office. Execution of utility permits. We do a lot of permitting with utility companies to install their services within the right-of-way. So we do go through that permitting process. And then execution of dust control permits is, you know, exactly as it states, people put down dust control. We have a permit process, and we only allow certain types of chemicals to be on the road for those purposes. So those are all annual resolutions that we do at the beginning of the year.
okay. Do they have to be done individually, Dawn, or can they be done with one motion? Individual? Okay. Start with the resolution for the execution of certificate of completion.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Next, we have the resolution for the issuance of weight restrictions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Carries. Next is road closures.
Move approval of the resolution.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Fourth would be the resolution for the execution of moving permits.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Carries. Next be a resolution for the execution of utility payments.
Move approval.
Or permits, sorry.
I will second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Carries. Next is a resolution for the execution of dust control permits.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Motion's all carry. Next, we have a resolution to approve the necessary documents with Dyersville Equipment Company, Dyersville, Iowa, for the purchase of a new 2022 John Deere 6120M cab tractor. Bid was submitted, quote, for $100,342.50 for the new John Deere 6120 cab tractor. With the trade-in for T17 2004 Case IH MXM 120 tractor for $24,950. Grand total would be $75,442 for the purchase of the 2022 John Deere 6120.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
And I will second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the resolution to purchase the new 2022 John Deere 6120M cab tractor from Dyersville Implement. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Next is a resolution to approve the necessary documents with Diamond Mowers of Sioux Falls, South Dakota for the purchase and mounting of a 2022 Diamond Mower with rotary cutting head.
I will make a motion to approve the rotary motor purchase.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Next is a proof of publication, notice of intent to appoint, resolution to approve the appointment to the vacated office of Dubuque County Treasurer.
I'll make a motion to approve the proof of publication of notice of intent to appoint.
And I will second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the proof of publication. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. We make the appointment at this time, Kevin?
The resolution to appoint.
Okay. The resolution is whereas Dubuque County Treasurer Eric Stearman has resigned, I believe retired effective January 3rd, 2022, and whereas pursuant to section 69.14A, the Board of Supervisors has the authority to fill a vacancy in the office of County Treasurer by appointing a successor or by calling a special election. And whereas pursuant to section 69.14A, parentheses 2, parentheses A, parentheses 2, a petition may be filed by the public within 14 days of the notice of the publication or within 14 days after the appointment is made to call a special election to fill said vacancy by appointment. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dubuque County Board of Supervisors would appoint Randy Wedewer to the office of Dubuque County Treasurer to a term ending upon the successor being elected and qualified. Would be looking for a motion to appoint Randy as the treasurer.
I'll make a motion to appoint Randy Wedewer to the office of Dubuque County Treasurer, and it would include the approval of the resolution.
And I will second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve Randy to the office of treasurer. I'll signify by aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
We'll, now administer the oath.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks. Eric, you're too.
I would also thank Eric for all of his years of service to the county. I hope you enjoy your retirement. Thank you again, Randy.
You want photos?
Move to the next item, a resolution to approve the fiscal year 2022 purchase of service contracts. They're listed on the resolution.
For all the agreements, I will make a motion to approve that resolution.
And I will second that. I hope to have just a minute for some discussion.
Have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. I believe we have some discussion.
Well, it's a question more, which is that not all of the purchase of services contracts are here. And I just want to be sure that we're, not losing them. If, Ed can answer that question for us.
This is Ed Raver. Supervisor McDonough, we are just in process with the rest. So there's probably about 4 or 5 left. Some of them wanted to interact a little bit more. We're still trying to work out what they want to put in their scope of work. So it isn't just a cut and paste. We have to interact with the clients. So I anticipate that all of the rest will be on next week's agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Communications, we have nothing for the meeting today. The appointments, we have appointment to the Civil Service Commission. We have an application by Jerry Lynch.
Jerry is a male. I don't know that that's going to matter, but it says here that the female, but the application itself indicates male gender identification.
I can verify that. He was my driver's education teacher in high school. Spent some time with him.
But it would be unfortunate if our records didn't reflect, weren't accurate with regard to this. The cover note, Supervisor Potoff indicates, the cover commission note just indicates that it's a female.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Yes.
I will make a motion to appoint Jerry Lynch to the Civil Service Commission with the correction as identified by Supervisor McDonough.
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Jerry Lynch will be appointed to the Civil Service Commission. Next, we have supervisors' appointments for boards and commissions. Let's start with Central Iowa Juvenile Detention Commission.
My question to you, Chair Potoff, is your duties that you've been doing are extensive. There's a lot of things you've been appointed to. As your first year, I think you were gracious in saying you wanted to know a lot of information. As you now are chair, is there anything there that I can be helpful to you and take on that assignment? I am pleased with my assignment. I don't feel I need any changes. I mean, this obviously is a time to discuss that, but if there's anything here that you would prefer not be on your schedule, I'm happy to do that, and maybe Supervisor Wickham is as well, I don't know.
I would say I'm not sure how full my schedule is going to be with being the chair, but I'm assuming I will be garnering more responsibilities, requiring more time. The Central Iowa Juvenile Detention Commission, if someone would be interested in taking that over, I'd be appreciative.
Supervisor Wickham, do you have any interest in that? I have served on that commission on that board in the past. It's when they don't meet by Zoom, you just have to make that trip to Eldora.
They have been meeting by Zoom.
I am currently on the 1st Judicial District Department of Corrections, which is for the adults, and that's I think a state code authorization position. That's probably my comfort level as far as stepping into corrections at this moment.
Well, to that commission, I would be happy. I'm the alternate right now. I would be pleased to do that as well. I'm working with the Department of Corrections with regard to the brain health ARPA application from the Health Board. that also involves the Department of Corrections to some extent. So just put that out there as well to my colleagues, that that's a, I have had some through the Brain Health Board and even through the East Central region, jail diversion comes in under that. So there's some overlap there as well with some things that I'm doing as well, Supervisor Wickham. If you would want to even just trade those, that might be a thing to do.
I would probably echo your statement that I'm comfortable with my positions at this point.
I'm happy to be appointed to Central Iowa Juvenile Detention Commission.
Okay. Supervisor McDonough will take that. Courthouse Security Commission, or Committee, I can keep that.
Has that been meeting, Supervisor Potoff?
Pardon?
Has it been meeting this year?
No.
Okay.
No one hasn't required much. Dubuque Area Chamber of Commerce, Supervisor Wickham is currently assigned to that.
Supervisor Wickham, how many years have you served on that role?
That's a good question. I'm gonna go at least 2, maybe 3. I'd have to check back the records, but they at one point had in their bylaws actually hard appointments to, a mayor appointment or a chair of the Board of Supervisors, and they changed the bylaws to reflect either a mayor, a city council person, or a supervisor, and not to specifically call out those appointments. But that's about all the background I get. But if anyone is really, really interested in serving on that, I'd be open for discussion. But it's small business is what I do on a daily basis, and so that has a lot of crossover, and I think I provide a lot of value to that board.
If you would like to stay there, that's fine by me. Okay. Next is Dubuque County Early Childhood. Supervisor Wickham is also assigned to that board.
I love the group, like the progress, but same statement, happy to serve there. But if somebody was really loving to jump into there, I would never step in their way.
I have interest in that. Jay, would that offend you if I did take that?
No, it would not. I've served on that board since, unfortunately, the passing of Tom Hancock. He was on that board, and I've served in that role and worked with a couple different directors, and we've made some good progress. But if you have a strong interest in that, I would certainly be happy to have that appointment go to you, Supervisor McDonough.
Thank you. If it's fine with the chair, then I would take that appointment.
Okay. Supervisor McDonough will be appointed to the Dubuque County Early Childhood Board. Next is the Dubuque County Emergency Management Commission. I would be interested in staying on that board unless someone else would feel that they'd want it.
How often does that board meet?
Monthly.
That's the monthly board, okay. And then we all gather together the first Wednesday in February, so maybe we want to, just in our meeting notes, correct that to the side, the comment there. It says that it meets the first Wednesday in February, but it's actually a monthly commitment from the supervisor who does that work.
I take that back. It's first Tuesday of February, May, August, and November. For that one, I would, like I said, I would stay on that board. That's not an issue unless someone else feels they would want it.
No, I think that's great. And the meeting in February, all supervisors attend that. The joint meeting, we all are there. So, but yeah, no, I think it's great. It's your expertise. You've been doing that work, so.
Okay.
I would agree.
Next is the Dubuque County Joint 911 Service Board. I am also on that board, and I would be willing to stay on that board.
Very good.
Next is the Dubuque Metropolitan Area Solid Waste Agency, Landfill. I am on that board, and again, I would be interested in staying on that board. I've learned a lot over the last year, and I actually enjoy the board.
That's a firm yes, then. Please stay on that board.
Yep. Dubuque Metropolitan Area Transportation Study, DMATS Policy Board, and McDonough. Supervisor McDonough is on the board, and I'm the alternate.
I, like you, I enjoy this board. It's a way for me to learn a great deal about transportation. And I serve as vice chair on that DMATS board that meets monthly. So I'm pleased to keep that as well. And unless Supervisor Wickham is interested in that, of course.
No, I'm comfortable with the current appointment.
Okay, and I can stay as the alternate on that unless Jay wants to be the alternate.
Only if needed. Let me know.
All right. Next is Dubuque Racing Association, DRA Board. I am on that board, and I would be willing to stay on that unless someone else wants to go through the rigorous background to get on it.
Yeah, the presidents of the United States do not go through these kinds of backgrounds. I'm delighted that you're on that, and I appreciate you being on that. That position has stayed open a couple of years here, with not other supervisors being interested in doing that necessary work. So thank you for doing that, and if you would like to stay, I'm great with that.
I'm fine with that as well. I lost $20 on the Iowa Hawkeyes this last weekend through the other casino, so I think I wouldn't qualify.
Next is the ECIA.
And I think
Jay is the alternate, and I am also on that board, I believe.
that one oddly presents a conflict for me when the Central Regional Governing Board for Brain Health, when they cycle through some of their Wednesdays. And so I'm in Cedar Rapids, and so that's why I've never served on that board. Okay. It presents a conflict at times. It's a Thursday meeting, so.
I would be willing to stay on the ECIA board unless Jay would want to take that.
No burning desire to jump in front of you, but if you need help, let me know.
All right, I will stay on that, and Jay as the alternate. Next is the first Judicial District, Department of Corrections. Jay is on that board, and Ann is the alternate.
Yeah, and that's uniquely enough one of the only ones that's actually called out, where the Board of Supervisors by state code are on those boards. So it's the only really hard responsibility I see that we have. So I'm happy to keep serving on it at this point. Supervisor McDonough, you did mention a love with it, but I know you've got a bunch of assignments, but it's the Elm Street Correctional Facility is probably our closest physical asset that is under management with that board. And it's a quite large district. I believe it's 18 counties.
And I guess I mean, I would be glad to be on that board for the next year. There are overlaps that are happening currently as we transition the brain health. The state of Iowa is talking about co-locating public health and DHS, and there's also interest at the state. I mean, we don't know what will happen at the legislature this year, but that there might be some funding for substance abuse, and that right now is not, you can't ever commingle brain health funding and substance abuse funding. So, I mean, I guess I wouldn't mind that appointment for this year to see if there's overlap or anything that I can do to help be a connector. So, I mean, okay. If you're already doing that work.
I'm generally comfortable with you having that. Maybe I'll just throw in a couple other items that either may interest you or dissuade you. So they meet generally quarterly, and it's been on and off, both in person and Zoom. And at one point it was in Independence for kind of, common area, but the last series of meetings have been in Waterloo. And it is a population pro rata board, meaning Black Hawk County and Dubuque County have the most votes because of population. So it is important that we have representation there. And there is probably one or two other lawyers that sit on that board as well, or at least attend those meetings. And with your law background, potentially you could provide a little more value than I have. So I'm
Would
open
you like
to
to-
passing those up.
Would you stay as alternate then, as you are aware of some of the, obviously the issues happening?
That probably makes the most sense, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Greater Dubuque Development Corp. Supervisor McDonough is currently on that.
That is, I took on that role when I was chair. They do not require that the chair be on that. You're on the executive committee and, of course, the board. It does meet once a month, not a big deal. But I'm happy to stay on that. It doesn't have to be the chair. It can be any supervisor. We are ex officio to that board.
Yeah, that sounds all very, very true. In addition to now we are part of the executive committee. I think historically in my 7 years or so, a little less than that, it always has been the chair that they've, I guess the board of supervisors has appointed, but I'm sure whoever we appoint, they would be happy to receive on their board. And I'm also available and interested in that as well. It's obviously once again related to the business community, which is close to me. But Supervisor Potoff, as the new chair, if you are willing to step in that role, I would support that.
What I would say to you, Supervisor Potoff, is that it is a great way to learn the workforce issues. I learned a great deal about workforce by being on that board. I am happy to stay, but if that's something that it's a relationship that I've learned a great deal about during my time on that board, and it has been the chair historically, but it's up to you and your time commitments.
I honestly feel that I have a large enough plate at this time. I would prefer that you or Supervisor Wickham would be on that board.
I'm happy to remain. How does that, it fits with my time. I mean, I've never had a conflict, so I'm happy to remain there.
If it's okay with you, Jay, would just leave Ann on that board, or?
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. Next is the East Central region, which Supervisor McDonough is also on that board for the ECR, and I am the alternate.
As I do every year, this is critical work, and I always ask my peers, my colleagues, if they wish to do this work. I mean, it is, as you know, it is critical, especially at this time. So if someone else wishes to do that, Johnson County does routinely change which of their supervisors sits on that board. Lynn County has only ever had one. Ben Rogers has always sat on this board. So I just don't want to assume that that will be how Dubuque County will be. I'm also the liaison from the board to the Child Advocacy Committee inside this. So I have another role to play as well. I'm happy to remain doing it. It is a little bit of alphabet soup to get caught up with what's going on, I think. So
I personally would feel that given the amount of time and energy that you have spent on this, I don't know how anyone could actually get up to speed to where you're at. And I don't understand how these other counties, or whichever one you said, can keep switching supervisors and try to keep on top of all that's going on there.
I would agree.
My personal feeling would be that I'd like to see you stay on that board if you're willing to do that. And
I am happy to do that. It's very worthwhile and fulfilling work. It's really, and it's great colleagues. It's good people.
And I can stay on as the alternate, that's fine.
Yeah, I think you're there at most of the meetings at some point anyway, Harley.
Yeah.
I see you on Zoom, so.
Next is the North Iowa Regional Services Juvenile, I think that's Waterloo Detention, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, Supervisor McDonough is on that.
I'm happy to remain on that board. I am happy to remain on that board.
You want to remain on that?
It is a stark contrast between the two juvenile detention boards. in their mission and how they are professional. And this out of Waterloo they really run well. It's easy to participate and easy to be heard at at North Iowa. So I'm happy to be part of that. And actually, just for education of my peers, it has a lot of overlap. This facility does with the brain health work. Waterloo is in a different region for brain health. And so this facility works as a subacute center. They are actually making money as a brain health facility more than they are as a juvenile detention center. So it's fascinating to me to just hear what they're doing in that work, because we haven't been able to adopt that model in our own, in the ECR. So anyway, thank you. I would love to stay on that. That's good.
Okay. Next is CEO for the Board of Northeast Iowa Workforce Area. I'm currently on that. If anyone is interested, I would be willing to step aside. Otherwise, I can stay on that. Don't everybody jump at once here.
Well, I mean, I have interest in that too, but I've taken on some new things, so.
No, I'll stay on that. That's fine. Next is the RPA 8 Regional Planning Affiliation. I am on that board, and Jay is the alternate. Would you be interested in being on that board, Jay, or would just wish to stay as the alternate?
I can switch with you, or be the designee if that's what you desire. So I'm usually jump in each one of those meetings either way as the alternate and listen. So happy to be that part if that would help you.
All right, we can put Jay on that board, and I will be the alternate for Jay. Next is the RTA Regional Transit. All 3 supervisors are appointed to that.
I currently serve as the chair, and that will change at our meeting this week. It's only an annual position as chair. So this year, the Dubuque County Supervisor will serve as secretary. One of us will serve as secretary, and it is just the notes and all are done by ECIA, but we will meet Wednesday morning, and one of the 3 of us will become the secretary for RTA. And I appreciate that. I know Supervisor Powdoff, you're there nearly every meeting. So it's been interesting as the chair this year to learn what they do as well.
Okay. Next is the Resource Enhancement Committee, REAP. All 3 supervisors are appointed to that, and that's annual as needed.
Yeah, and that one actually, it says all 3 of us, but it actually, I think the chair in the bylaws is what convenes it. So only the chair is called out, just to know that. And then if you're not available as vice chair, I would do that as well. So. Okay.
Well, maybe we can clean that.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe we can clean that up if that's the case. That's good insight that you have, Supervisor McDonough. If that's the case, I'd like to clean those up, because when I see check marks, I'm thinking we should be there and be voting members. And if that's not the case, I would like it represented different.
But Brian Preston walks everything through. I mean, you literally just convene the board unless you want to do, more work.
I'm just curious with the voting, the voting aspect of being on a board is do we have 3 votes or not?
I've never seen all 3 of us be there. I think in my 2 years.
Was there even a meeting this past year?
Yeah, it is. It's very,
yeah,
it's in the fall. Mm-hmm.
Must have missed it. I don't recall
So
it.
maybe they can just clean it up. I'm happy to either have all 3 of us there or have just 1 box. I would just like to know if there's 3 boxes checked, that kind of tells me we get 3 votes. And if that's not the case, then we can clarify it. So maybe staff can help us with that. Check with Brian.
That would be great.
Next is Travel Dubuque. Supervisor Wickham is on that board.
I'm happy to remain on that board. It's been good work, and a lot of actually interesting work related to the Major League Baseball game and other things going around in a very difficult time related to the pandemic and travel.
Okay. We'll allow you to stay on that board. The UCC Urban County Coalition, all three supervisors are on that board. Dubuque County Watershed Program 28E, all three supervisors are also on that board. Tom Hancock Grant Committee, I believe Supervisor McDonough was on that this past year, correct?
Yes, and again, I thought it was the chair position would be on the Tom Hancock board, and I don't believe it says that. It's been just 3 years, 2 years Dave Baker served, and then I served last year. It's in the fall. Tom Berger does a great job and makes it, you learn a lot, but it's not a heavy lift. I don't know if you want to do that one, or if Jay does. It's not a big time commitment. It's interesting work.
Okay. Do you, you did it as the chair. I guess, do my colleagues feel I should do that as the chair, or?
I think that works for me. I think having the chair be that designee makes sense.
Okay, I will take care of that. Board of Health Liaison, Supervisor McDonough is currently on that and has done a very good job with the Board of Health.
I'm happy to stay with that for the same reasons that I've talked about some of the other things. There's a lot happening right now in transition with not only at our county level, but at the state level. So I'm happy to remain on that board, to be the liaison.
I have no issue with that unless Supervisor Wickham would.
Nope. No, I'm okay with that as well.
Supervisor McDonough will be the liaison to the Board of Health. Is there any other ones, Dawn?
No, Harley, can we get a motion to approve the table as presented?
Looking for a motion to approve the appointments as presented.
Is it possible that it can come back in our packet for next week? I mean, I think that's generally consensus, but I haven't been watching the markings going on, so is that fine?
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. We will move that to next week's agenda. Next is open vacancies for information only. The Civil Service Commission, that one we just filled, correct?
And I note that we still have the watershed there as well. I think Eric was checking into that. And maybe you can see let's get that off there, get the, if you just could follow up, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next we have personnel requisitions, motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I will second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the permanent full-time clerk, cashier, and recorder's office. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. This time, anyone may address the board on matters of which are concern to that person and which are not agenda items. Please go to the podium, state your name and home address. Please be aware that the board is limited in their ability to respond to such inquiries, and Iowa Code prohibits the board from deliberating or acting on items not appearing on the agenda. Individual remarks are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone in chambers that would like to address the board? Seeing no one, do we have anyone on Zoom that would like to address the board, Don? Okay, next is a work session at 10 a.m. Anyone need a break before that? Anyone needs a break? We could go to our COVID update. Samantha?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Supervisor Wickham, are you able to hear me on Zoom?
I am.
Okay, perfect. Happy New Year. This is the first COVID update of 2022, and I just realized that's wrong on my very first slide, so sorry about that. Okay, so the first one is our community transmission level for Dubuque County and the state of Iowa. We are still in the red, as you can see, the high level of community transmission. And at this time, every state in the country is experiencing some level of high community transmission. And the next slide is just a snapshot of what Dubuque County looks like right now in numbers. So for testing, 2,279 COVID-19 tests were completed in the last 7 days. Of those tests, 431 were positive in the last 7 days. And of those positive tests, individuals aged 39 and younger make up 58% of all those positives in the last 7 days. And that has been pretty consistent for the last few weeks as well. As for vaccinations, 75.89% of those 12 and older have either completed their vaccination series or are currently in the process, and 97.2% of those 65 and older are in the same position. 58.9% of those who are currently eligible to get a COVID booster have received their booster, which is great. And by eligible, what we mean is anyone 16 and older who has completed their 2-dose vaccination series in the last 6 months, 6 months ago or sooner, and anyone who has completed a single-dose vaccination series in the 2 months ago or sooner. Of those who are currently eligible to get a vaccine, those 29 and younger make up the lowest percent of those who are boosted. I would like to note, too, that the Iowa Department of Public Health has still not released any data for those 5 to 11. And then I also wanted to note that in the Board of Health update on January 19th, we'll be adding more information with details on zip code and age group data. So then I wanted to do a review of December and also a review of 2021, and this is our first slide with that review. So this is the COVID-19 variants by month in Dubuque County, and as you can see, IDPH currently estimates that 5.3% of all positive COVID cases in Dubuque County throughout that month of December were Omicron. The other 94.7% were Delta, and this estimation comes from sequencing a certain number of positive COVID-19 tests during the month to estimate the amount of COVID or Omicron in Dubuque County. So again, it's just an estimate, but it is giving us a good idea of what Dubuque County looks like right now. 6.4% of all positive cases in the state of Iowa in the month of December were Omicron, so we are slightly less than what the state is seeing. We do not have any information for January yet as it relates to the variants, but we do know that Omicron is in Dubuque County and it is spreading. Our second slide for our December review is positive COVID cases by age group in Dubuque County. And from December 1st to December 31st, those 0 to 10 made up 12% of all of our positive cases. And that is followed by those age 19 to 24 who make up 10%. And that age group, 19 to 24, we know was traditionally leading the pack for positive cases. But overall, what we do know is that younger adults and children are the ones making up the majority of positive cases overall. And that's been that way for quite a while, many months now. The next December review slide is number of COVID-19 tests that have been completed in Dubuque County by month. And when we reported this slide to you on December 6th, December was at 650 tests completed. We are now at 9,036, which is great. People are out there and they're getting tested. This is the second highest we've seen since December of 2020. And let's see, I wanted to point out that this does not include the at-home test kits that people are doing to get a quick, rapid result. So what we do recommend is that if you do one of those at-home tests and it comes back positive, it's not a bad idea to go get a PCR test to confirm your results. That way, you have the confirmation, but also your number will be included in our data, which is important for decision-making from the Board of Health and the Board of Supervisors, as well as the incident management team. Another December review slide is the number of completed COVID-19 vaccinations in Dubuque County by month. When we reported this to you on December 6th, we were at 136 completed vaccinations for the month, but today we are at 1,903. This is the highest we've seen since the summer, so that's super great. People are out there getting vaccinated. Those who were vaccinated in June of 2022 or sooner with Pfizer or Moderna are eligible for their booster now, and those who are vaccinated on November 3rd of 2021 or sooner with J&J are eligible to get their booster now. So we're encouraging that those individuals who are eligible seek out a booster shot to continue protecting themselves from the spread of COVID. Another thing I'd like to point out from this slide is that in the course of 1 year, Dubuque County has completed 58,811 total vaccinations, which is great. Our last December review slide is the number of COVID-19 related deaths in Dubuque County per month. And as you can see, unfortunately, we have seen 12 deaths related to COVID in December of 2021. This has been relatively steady through the fall of this year. But like last month, what I would like to point out is that the deaths in November of 2020 are much different from those in this past November and December, and I attribute a lot of that to the success of COVID vaccinations and people getting them and their boosters. The incident management team continues to meet with our hospitals on a weekly basis to discuss capacity and staffing concerns. On December 27th, the Iowa Department of Public Health did report that 79% of all hospitalizations for patients diagnosed with COVID were unvaccinated. And of those COVID-19 patients who ended up in the ICU, 81% were unvaccinated as well. So again, what we promote is getting your vaccinations and staying up to date with your boosters to protect yourself, but also to prevent burden on our healthcare system. Our last slide is just on some updated COVID-19 guidance, and this is very recent, as of December 28th. So the CDC has recently shortened the recommended time for isolation from 10 days for people with COVID-19 to 5 days if they are asymptomatic, followed by 5 days of wearing a mask when they are around others. This change is motivated by science that demonstrates the majority of COVID transmission occurs early in the course of the illness, generally 1 to 2 days prior to the onset of symptoms and 2 to 3 days after the onset. The CDC has also updated their quarantine recommendations once you are exposed to COVID-19. For those who are unvaccinated and unboosted, the CDC recommends quarantining for 5 days, followed by strict mask use for an additional 5 days. If a 5-day quarantine is not feasible, it is very important that the exposed person wear a mask at all times for at least 10 days after the exposure. For individuals who are vaccinated and boosted, the CDC does not recommend that you quarantine following an exposure, but that you should still wear a mask for 10 days after that exposure. For anyone who is exposed to COVID-19, regardless of your vaccination status, it is also recommended that you get tested 5 days after your exposure to confirm that you do or do not have COVID, regardless of being symptomatic. But if your symptoms do occur, individuals should immediately begin quarantine and remain in quarantine until they receive a negative test that confirms the results are not related to COVID-19. The incident management team understands that this change in guidance is relatively new and can be very confusing based on what we've been doing. So we are currently in the process of discussing some messaging that we can get out to the public to ensure that everyone is up to date on the guidance and can use this guidance appropriately when the time is needed. But that was all the information I have for you. If you have any questions, like I said, we'll go into more detail about age data and zip code data at the Board of Health meeting, but if there's other data points that you're interested in looking at, just let me know and I can make sure they're in the update for the Board of Health.
Okay. Anyone have anything for Samantha?
Yeah, Samantha, thank you for being here and congratulations on being the interim director. That's fantastic. Happy to have you be there.
Thank you.
I have two questions for you. There are locations in Dubuque now where citizens can get free rapid COVID tests, right? And where are those? And they're at no charge.
We are in the process now of working with one company that will be, I believe, in downtown Dubuque. And we are talking about that today at our incident management team, actually. So that has not been out to the public. I believe their soft opening might have been over the weekend or this week. So we'll get more information out on that to you in the weekly update and then again to the public in our social media.
What about the location at the Kennedy Mall? I think that was reported in the newspaper.
Great.
There's a company at Kennedy Mall by Edward Jones.
Yep, that's the one that I meant at downtown Dubuque.
Okay.
You're correct. Sorry about that.
That is my concern, that what I saw, this is a social media post, that the line there was long, well out the door, and that if you didn't have COVID when you were getting a test, you had it by the time you got tested, because of the volume of people that were there and people were not masked and so forth. So, but I'm looking, that would be just, I'm glad the incident management team is working on that. It'd be good to get information there. And then I just have a comment, I guess it's a comment and a question. This weekend, my husband reports to me that he was at Hy-Vee at the pharmacy, and their signs say, there are no walk-in vaccinations any longer.
Okay.
You must make an appointment. And so the volume of vaccination requests has really apparently increased, and those walk-ins are, I just want the incident management team to be aware to, where can someone get a walk-in appointment?
This time I would recommend the VNA for walk-in appointments.
And what are the hours there then?
They will take a walk-in appointment anytime they're open, just from their regular hours. But I do know that they were reserving specific days and times for those walk-ins, and those were included in our weekly update.
Right.
But ultimately, they're not going to turn someone away if they come in during open hours for a vaccination.
Okay, that's good. So we have to have a place for people to go where they know they can get a vaccine when they're ready to get the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Super. Thank you. Those are my questions.
I'd like to thank you, Samantha, and congratulations on being the interim director.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Fabulous.
Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm just an email away, and like I said, any questions you have, I'll be sure to include answers to those in the Board of Health update on January 19th.
So in a related matter, I'd like to see that we have on our agenda, if we could, ongoing, there's going to be, the Board of Health is going to need to give us updates as they search for Patrice Lambert's successor. So I appreciate very much the COVID update, the first of the month, but I don't want, I just want to have that open communication back to this board as well about what we need to do to be supportive of you and the Board of Health as they move through this next process. Like, what is the process? If you could just keep us up to date on that, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, yep. I think we'll learn a lot more at the next Board of Health meeting, and then I'll be happy to share that with the supervisors as well.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you.
A motion to recess until 10:15.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to recess till 10:15. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. We are in recess. It is 10:15. Call the Board of Supervisors back into session. We have a work session with our county engineer for the engineer's update. Anthony?
All right, good morning. Just want to confirm, is Sam on the?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so I wanted to bring this back to the board. I've had some various discussion with the Iowa DOT about the Highway 20 corridor, and we've had lots of discussion in the past about Thunder Hills area and Cox Springs area. And we've kind of, thrown around some different preliminary ideas of maybe a frontage road along, north of Highway 20 there, paralleling that area and making access a little bit safer. And so it's kind of evolving still. I invited Sam Shea, program manager, transportation programmer with the DOT District 6, to be a part of this discussion. We're looking at, I guess, want to bring a concept to you guys about a partnership between us and the DOT on a project that would be adding to safety improvements along Thunder Hills and Cox Springs area. Sam, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, do you want to kind of explain the Cstep program and the project that you guys are looking at?
Yeah, so the first part that came out of this is we applied for some money called HSIP, Highway Safety Improvement Program funds. It's federal money that the DOT gets a lump sum of, and then the district goes back to the central office and requests money for certain projects. We wanted to extend turn lanes, add an acceleration lane and extend turn lanes at Cox Springs Road and the US 20 intersection. We got the money approved for that. Some of that is based on crash history and what we look at as potential crash reduction factors. Thunder Hills Road, though, does not have the significant crash history, so we were unable to receive HSIP money for that. However, we do have another program called Cstep, which is the County Safe State Transportation. Now I forgot what the acronym stands for. I apologize.
It's your own program there.
It's safety money that the DOT provides to counties. The way we do this is on a joint project between the DOT and the county. Usually we ask that the county be the lead agency on those projects, and we split the cost 55-45, normally with the DOT paying 55 and the county sharing 45, because we get a certain benefit, so we pay a little bit more. We get a benefit out of you guys administering the project. In this case, we thought we could tie these two projects together. We could get we're talking about a westbound to northbound offset right turn lane for Thunder Hills Road. And we were able to get the funding in place for that if the county would like to participate. And we were willing to change that cost share. Instead of 55-45, since we're actually administering the project, we talked about going with a 50-50 cost share on that.
Well, and to kind of add to your comments there, Sam, there is a turn lane there, but it's a short turn lane. And so this would be adding length to that existing offset turn right there lane. Right.
It's currently, I think, close to 300 feet total length, which is about 100 yards. I think the improvement would be close to 300 yards, and it would offset, so anyone sitting southbound on Thunder Hills Road waiting to turn onto US 20 wouldn't have their view blocked by someone making that turn. With the offset, you'd be able to see around a car in that turn lane.
So as Sam was saying, that if we were to decide to participate in this Cstep program, the DOT would kind of take the lead, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but you guys would take the lead on the design and administration of the project, the county would just be responsible for, an approximate 50-50 participation in this project. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
So far, any thoughts from the board on this?
50/50 of what cost? I mean, it's got to be a multiple $1-million project, isn't it? Or no?
Well, our initial estimates, I guess, from the DOT is for the construction of the lane itself. Now, this does not include extra right-of-way if it's needed. About $225,000. So it'd be about 50/50 of that cost. So it'd be about $112,500 to the county.
Right.
Now that, again, it doesn't take into consideration if material and labor costs have increased, or for construction costs, or an extra right-of-way if needed.
Yeah, and I didn't mention this, but I probably should have. The improvements at Cox Springs Road are 100% DOT cost. We're just talking about the Thunder Hills intersection would be the only cost sharing.
Sure.
Thank you, and this is separate.
Supervisor
Go ahead, Jay.
The changes at Cox Springs Road, those are off ramps as well, not off ramps, but turning lanes as well?
Yeah, so it would be the eastbound to northbound left turn lane would be extended. And then there would be a northbound to eastbound acceleration lane for trucks that would be getting onto the highway going northbound, heading in towards the city of Dubuque.
Okay.
There wouldn't be any. Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
My question would be, I mean, so those improvements, I think, are that improvements. But you're really, you still have at grade intersections at very high speeds, which is, why we have the on and off ramps at, further as we head east and further as we head west. Is there any plan or discussion at this point of whether it be a full frontage road from Thunder Hills to Cottingham or other solutions related to those at grade intersections? I think that's where we'll make our most significant progress. I don't want to poo-poo the DOTs and the county's involvement on these turning lanes and acceleration lanes, but I still think the public is at risk at the high speeds and the multiple lane crossings. Any comments there on how to resolve those issues?
Yeah, I think I know we've had a plan in place for some time now that includes an interchange at Thunder Hills Road. So we would do a full diamond interchange. Ideally, we probably need to go back and revisit the environmental work that we did there previously. So in the long run, I think that would be the way to go. And certainly we would have to figure out whether or not interchange is justified and what the environmental impacts are and what style of interchange. But we're still, we're still competing statewide for funds for something like that. And at the moment, it's not in our 5-year program. So it's not going to happen in the next 5 years. And I'm really not sure when, it's probably going to chase traffic. So as traffic congestion increases and safety needs increase, then the likelihood of getting funding for that interchange would increase.
Okay, thank you.
The extension of the turning lanes is definitely a added safety measure. It does allow for traffic that stopped waiting to pull out to see better. Is there any, thoughts on a westbound acceleration lane from northbound Cox Springs?
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, and we didn't see the need. We looked at kind of the crash history through there. We looked at the number one number two complaints that we get from folks who live out there, and that's really it's something that folks desire, but it's not. We're not seeing on the ground that there's that much of a need for it. There's plenty of sight distance. It's not heavy truck traffic making that turn. If you go back to Cox Springs, we have a lot of heavy truck traffic trying to get up to speed at that location. Here you've got cars, if they pull into the median, so they're only negotiating one direction of travel at a time. So if you're southbound from Thunder Hills wanting to make that left, you wait until you see the westbound traffic clear, you pull into the median, and then you wait for a gap in eastbound traffic, and then you step on the accelerator and go. And typically most cars have the acceleration capability to meet those gaps, as long as they have sight distance and they can see what they need to do. And at that location, there's plenty of sight distance available.
Okay. Thank you, Sam.
You bet.
Sam, if we were to, I guess, coordinate with you, with the DOT, what would be your time frame on this project?
I believe, darn it, I don't have that email in front of me. I think it's 2023, fiscal year 2023.
You're talking federal fiscal year, is that correct?
Oh, heck, Anthony, I'm going to have to get back with you on that. Okay. I think we're thinking state fiscal year. So I think as early as July of 20, no, wait, no, I think you're right. I think we're in 24, construction in 24, fiscal year 23.
Anthony, have you communicated any of these possibilities to Piasta, to the city?
Well, I'll be honest, communication I think is broken down a little bit there with, the mayor stepping aside, and he was kind of a leading voice for changes around there and coordinating with the county.
City administrator, and I think she would be continuing those projects.
Right. When it comes to this, what we're talking about today, this is strictly just county DOT, because this is our jurisdiction together.
Sure.
If we were to continue the frontage road discussion, that needs to be tuned with the city.
Right. And I mean, I served on their long-term plan committee, and they have, RDG did that, and their discussions always broke down once they exceeded they have design ideas for diamonds all over the place and overpasses. I mean, there's a lot of wish list in Piasta to really connect north and south. And I'm sorry to hear we feel there's been a breakdown in communication, because I think that's central, that they're also drafting plans to move folks, I think, from Cox Springs further west, around NICC and so on. So I really would like to see us, I obviously favor any safety improvements, and the numbers you're talking about are small for us to be working on safety there. But there needs to be a grand vision. It doesn't need to hold up for that, but I really think that is the discussion that people want to see us be having. How are those pieces fitting together?
That's where the discussion is very, to me, kind of unclear. If we talk about the frontage road idea, we kind of go along with that as the lead agency for that, and we try to bring the city into that. We're pouring millions of dollars into that type of project, separate from what the DOT might do someday. If traffic continues to increase, which is going to, developments taking place out there, this becomes more of a high radar or on the radar project for the DOT, then, an interchange would come in, and maybe we didn't need to step in and take care of that frontage road idea, or it can work together. So the direction on this is a little unclear to me. I think for the short term, the safety improvements are a good thing. I really like that idea. I like coupling with the DOT, especially since they're taking the lead on this. They're saving us time on design and administration of the project. For the amount of money this is, I think this is a good short-term solution.
I'm thankful that we have these solutions coming forward. It's helpful that we know we are working on it, and they're small steps, but can have great impact in safety.
One question or comment I have, where we're talking about that frontage road, and so that was on my mind here. And so you know, a lot of the improvements we've been talking about are most of them for traffic that's heading west, with the exception off of Cox Springs for the acceleration route for the trucks, which is good. But the traffic going from, you know, west to east are mainly, you know, the Piasta subdivisions as they are developed, Thunder Hills and Birds Acres, so on and so forth. Not to put you guys on the spot, but the two engineers, Sam and Anthony, what is the probability of doing I don't know if it's a mile, 1.2 mile long frontage road? How well do those work, and how well do citizens like driving on those? I mean, actually, I thought, I mean, obviously we did a frontage road, or the city of Piasta did a frontage road on what's called now Thunder Valley Drive, connecting Cox Springs and Thunder Hills Road. And so my final question is, you know, Thunder Hills Road from Cottingham, that length of a frontage road to go east, is that probable? Does that work?
You know, this is Anthony. So, you know, we've done a little bit of a deep dive on that subject. We've explored what that alignment might look like. You know, we've even visited with the city of Piasta. We sat down with their administrator and the former mayor and talked about that subject, what that alignment might look like. We've explored that cost. You know, we've thought maybe it's in that $4 to $5 million range to do something like that. You know, as far as moving traffic east-west, it would, you know, definitely probably be safer to be lower speed moving traffic. There is a lot of development taking place out there, so it might get more congested along that route. It doesn't really solve the south side of Highway 20, you know, Cox Springs area. So that kind of leaves that a little awkward, I guess. You know, if we were to build a frontage road on the north side of Highway 20, we would ideally want to close those intersections on the north side there. We wouldn't be able to do that on the south side. And it's not as easy to build a frontage road on that south side there either. I guess those are some of my initial thoughts. Sam, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah. So I think part of this is going to be a county cost concern, and I hate to put it that way, but we're kind of hemmed in on what we can do on the county system with primary road fund dollars. So if, much like you see at Swiss Valley Road, the DOT comes in as the lead to build that interchange, and we've built an extensive network of frontage roads because we're closing all the access points as part of the interchange. If all we're doing is building a frontage road, we don't actually have a funding mechanism in place to do that. If we're building the interchange, so eventually one day we build the interchange at Thunder Hills, the DOT is going to cover the cost of building the frontage roads you're talking about. But if you want to build the frontage roads first, that's a whole different discussion. And I'm not entirely sure where the DOT can find the funding to do that with our primary road fund restrictions. Another thought on this might be to also pay attention to maybe how we did things in Dyersville. And I hate to look at that as an example of the best possible case, because things, you know, we ended up with fatalities at the intersection of 7th and US 20 in Dyersville. And I certainly don't want that to be the case here. However, you can see at that intersection, we kind of took this incremental approach where we kept trying. Let's try this and see if it works. Let's try this and see if it works. And we tried different things: offset turn lanes, traffic actuated signals. And we're doing that in other places. 151 in Anamosa, you can find similar sorts of incremental approaches we're trying to take as traffic increases on these freeway sections. So I think of that here as it's an incremental approach. If it gives us 5 years before we have to look at something more, then we get 5 years benefit out of it. That's not so bad. Oh, and I found that email. It would be construction in 23. The summer of 23, that is.
That's for the extended turn lanes, correct, Sam?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, the only other funding source that we've kind of discussed in the past is, there's a, you know, in fiscal year 26, I believe it is, we will have an application into the DMATS board for, what we were discussing at Oakland Farms reconstruction. And that was around $4.5 million that we were gonna try to apply for. We've discussed a little bit about possibly shifting that funding into a frontage road idea if we were to do that. Yeah, but of course, then that leaves the, you know, the whole of the Oakland Farms and still what to do there with the development taking place out there. So that is out there yet. That would be really our only source of funding as a county that we could put towards some sort of bigger safety improvements along that stretch. But again, I'm a little unclear on that as well. If that's the right move, or if we should wait to see how things develop with the DOT, and try to be you know, possibly let them be the lead agency someday on this.
And then there's still the opportunity to have additional funding from the infrastructure bill, right? We're just starting to learn about what that might be. I don't understand how all the pieces fall in as we look at federal grants coming down to the, I mean, Sam, I know Stu Anderson was here, and that's all being explored. It's not, the immediate solution is not that infrastructure bill, but it does, expect that would give us another funding source eventually to move some of these projects ahead.
Yeah, there's going to be more grant-based projects to apply towards. You know, maybe Sam, you could speak to that a little bit as well. But you know, it sounds like our typical RPA and DMATS allocations or grants we're able to apply for is going to increase around 30%. Is what we're hearing. The funding sources for us,
right.
And then there'll be a lot of grant-based dollars to go after.
And the DMATS board has been supportive and of us moving funding from Oakland Farms over to, I mean, they recognize that it's an essential point of traffic safety as well, and they've been supportive of our conversation about realigning our priorities.
Right. Yeah, in the next year or two, you know, as we get closer to FY26, we're going to need to make some decisions on where to move those funds to, if it's going to stay in Oakland Farms or if we really want to commit it to this Thunder Hills area.
Obviously, the frontage road is several years out. The $225,000 for the lane extensions and the work that the state's going to do in the other intersection, we're responsible for half, $112,000. It's a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not. One accident can eat up more than that.
Oh, yeah.
With people in the hospital. I would be in favor of, you know, investing that money to keep it safe until we can see what we can do in the future to make it better.
Sure. Now, again, that's initial concept dollars, you know.
Right, I understand that.
Or extra right away, there'll be those kinds of things, but that's the general idea right now. You know, we're not talking millions of dollars to Dubuque County right now.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with Supervisor Potoff. I'd like to see us lead on this as best we can in our budget and not have to always be, you know, dependent, well, will they do that or might the DOT do that? We have a problem, we know it, and I'd like to be proactive about it inside our budget. To start, these are great opportunities. They seem like they're not the fix, but they're sure going to be helpful. So I think we all seem to think this is a good step forward. It's just a small piece of that whole picture there.
And this is a good time to talk about this, you know, with us coming up into the budgets, 5-year construction program. I'll need to program that kind of thing. So this is good discussion, good timing on this.
Jay, you have anything else?
Nope.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
I appreciate you bringing this to us, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's not a clear picture that we're trying to point towards, but, you know, I think we're just trying to wade through this and this is a good first step to improve safety out there.
Yeah.
Good.
We got general road department discussions.
I don't have anything, specifically. We've had a couple storms to test out our new GPS public portal system. From what I've seen, things look really good. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to test it out as well during the storms, but, I've looked at a lot of the pictures that come back, and there's good clarity there. I think there's good information being provided to the public, so I'm very pleased with what we're seeing so far.
Good. Thank you, crew, for, I guess, all the work they did over the holiday again. Naturally, that's when it's gotta come.
Yeah.
They wanna try to enjoy a day off, they get called in, but, they did a good job getting the roads cleaned up, so.
Thanks.
I'm guessing yours is the next one here also for, discussion regarding noise complaints at the Parley shop.
Yeah, let's see, we have it listed for 10:45. Do we need to?
Oh, you're, sorry. Yeah. You have, a few minutes if anybody wants a break, or?
Can you tell us, Anthony, what were you, in general discussion, what were you doing at, you made a presentation? You gave a statewide presentation?
Yeah, so we had a statewide county engineers conference back in December 13th or 15th, I believe it was.
Long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, each day is like a year to me almost. I was invited to speak on a panel about local option sales tax, and how it was elected to the county, what it's used for. So it was myself, the Lynn County engineer, and the Woodbury County engineer, and we presented on how it was adopted and what all uses we put it towards. It seems like there's about half the counties out there that don't have a local option sales tax. And it's a very, very important revenue source for us. It's about a third of our budget, supports what we do here. So if we didn't have the local option sales tax, and I was explaining this to the crowd, that we would be in a lot of trouble, very much so. So it's a great added revenue source for us for our roads and bridges and taking care of them. So I just say I had a chance to, kind of explain the mechanisms of it, and the counties that do have them, they all have different languages on how the funds can be used. Some have it for property tax abatement only. Some have it for just new construction or new paving. Some have it for the roads and bridges and maintenance. It was a good chance for me to explain what we do with it, but also for me to understand how these other counties are using it. And I definitely feel like we're pretty fortunate with the amount of revenue that comes in and how we can use it here. It's a great tool for our department. Oh, I guess one other note, I was elected to the Highway Research Board for the state of Iowa, and so it's going to comprise of other county engineers, state DOT employees, or engineers. So I will be sitting on that board for the next 3 years. As a part of that, I will be attending the Transportation Research Board conference in Washington, D.C., starting this Saturday. So I'll be going out there amongst, it should be a worldwide event of engineers coming together, not just county engineers, but engineers coming together and talking about research ideas and what's on cutting edge for, roads and bridges and other things. And so I'm really looking forward to that, to, kind of gain other people's experiences and knowledge and just see what's going on. And so hopefully COVID doesn't shut it all down. But
Right. See if any other county is using the equipment we need to put our own fiber in.
Sure, yeah.
That would be a good thing to do. And then also for any green technology, what's the latest in your industry as well. So thank you for serving on that. That's exciting.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Congratulations on your appointment to that, Anthony. Sure, it'll be a learning curve.
We will be.
Get out to Washington, it'd be a lot of information out there for you.
Oh, yeah. They say your first trip out there is very overwhelming. So I actually have a Zoom call with somebody who's been there this Wednesday, just to kind of prepare me on what to expect and where to go and all that stuff. So.
That's good. Okay, we'll move to the 10:45 work session, discussion regarding noise complaints at the Parley shop.
Okay, I'm gonna let Chris Soder take this. He's, I think, received the most information on this.
Good morning, how's everybody today? I hope well. Can you hear me okay? I can take my mask off.
Going to be a little louder.
Let's do this. About 2 years ago, shortly, about winter after we first rebuilt the Parley shop and relocated the salt shed, we got some complaints about excessive noise coming from our area, okay? The local attorney took some sound readings. I brought our equipment out and took a bunch of sound readings. There was some disparity between what he was reading, what I was reading. But basically it comes down to the area out there, when we were originally there, the salt shed ran east and west. Currently the salt shed runs north and south, and the south side faces the 5 houses or 4 houses that are behind the property. The area is zoned commercial. We haven't changed our operations there at all, other than the location of the salt shed. The noise complaints have to do with the backup alarms and the dump truck noises from the vibrators and from the loader loading the equipment. We can't do anything about the sound. We have to maintain those decibel levels according to OSHA and according to MSHA and some other entities are requiring that. When the train goes by and it's blowing its horn, it's pushing out 20 plus more decibels than all of our equipment does. I looked at a couple of options to attenuate some of the sound. Cost is going to be around $65,000 to put up basically a 14-foot chain link fence, and then there's sound attenuating fabric they can put on both sides of the chain link that'll cut the noise down. The biggest issue with that is it's going to decrease any air movement back there behind their houses significantly, and also it's going to, whatever view they have is going to go away. And then, go ahead. Yeah, and then I got a call last Thursday or Friday from Phil and Julie Meyer. They're one of the families that live behind there, and they were complaining about the sound, and they were going to talk to the mayor of Parley about having something done about it. The fact that it's zoned commercial, we are not doing anything there that does not apply within the bounds of the zoning there. I'm not sure what we need to do. And my goal with all of this was to push it out to the board to, at a higher level of discussion, to see how we want to proceed. That's pretty much it. You know, I took sound readings with all the equipment running and everything else, and and the ambient noise just from the grain elevator is as high when they're running all the dryers as what our equipment does. So I'm not sure what we can actually do, if anything.
I'll quickly note as well, the city of Parley also uses our salt shed. We kind of share services there, so you know, this serves not only Dubuque County but also the city of Parley as well. So just want to reference that.
I'm wondering about the amount of conversation that you've had with the city of Parley. You know, there's a new mayor, obviously, you know, just beginning. But part of being a good neighbor is if we can't eliminate the noise, and we can't, what do we do to try to find a solution and to listen to the concerns? So when you say, you know, all the decibel readings, that's interesting, that's factual, and I appreciate all of those points of information, but it doesn't make it less noisy for the 5 houses or half a dozen homes that are in that area that are impacted. So have we had conversations with the city and with the neighbors? And, you know, that, as you say, the fabric fence is going to create its own problems, but have we tried to meet with them? I mean, I'm willing to go be at that meeting too, to be listening. It's kind of we want to be good neighbors and at least let them kind of help choose the solution.
I was originally contacted by Todd Loker. He's the attorney that's on the corner of of the block right across from where those houses are.
His offices are there.
His offices are there, and he was the one that was, you know, showing the decibel readings and some of the other things. At the time he took a lot of those readings, there was other construction work going on in the area, so like I said, there was some issue with some of the sound levels. We've talked with Todd Loker, I've talked with the county attorney. We have not had any discussion with the city of Parley. Now, and I did as much due diligence as I could to determine what options were available besides moving.
Right.
To be able to help them out with the sound. The problem is I don't know what else we can do at this point.
No, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we're addressing it.
Right. I obviously want to be good neighbors, don't get me wrong. But if we're not doing anything outside of the zoning for that area, I have a little bit of a problem spending $65,000 for your fence. We're not the ones complaining. We could maybe split some of the cost with the neighbors that want it. I don't necessarily see the county having to spend all of it. I mean, yeah, we want to be good neighbors, but okay, then let's work together.
Well, and the issue, the single biggest issue with that is we can't just put 60 feet of fence here and 45 feet of fence there, because it's going to totally defeat the purpose. It's going to funnel more sound in between the fences.
Right.
So it's either 170-some feet of fence, I don't remember what the number is right off the top of my head, or nothing, because it's just not going to work.
Right.
And
everybody's got to be on board. You know,
can't relocate the salt shed. There is no way, no room. When we set everything up, we shoehorned everything in there with the new building. So it's not like we can move the salt shed or change how we get in and out of it. That's not going to have a major effect on our operation.
I would think we'd need to talk to the town of Farley, see if they have any solutions, and talk to the neighbors, see what they want to do.
The answer from the neighbors is they want it not to be noisy. That's what I'm getting from the attorney and from the neighbors there.
I understand that.
I've sent letters to them, you know, requesting additional information from them and things like that. And basically, they just don't want to get woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning with all the action going on. And it's like, well, we have a job to do,
right,
and it requires us to make the noise.
I'm sure that if they'd send that letter to the railroad, it wouldn't go very far either.
It wouldn't even get answered.
Right. We're at least willing to look at it, but
I guess biggest thing, I'm looking for direction. After talking with CJ and stuff last week, because he was going to be off today, he recommended we bring it to the board, and then you guys, as the board, decide how we want to move forward. If you want to get involved directly as a board, or we continue doing what we're doing.
Well, no, I think we need to I'd like to bring it to a different level, not a higher level, a lower level, just another level. I know that Ed Raber has been very, very active in Farley, working on the library situation, which seemed to have, there was like no options for their library, and Ed's developed some great relationships there, and there's things, neighbors talking to each other about the library. Now, that's not a noise issue, but I mean, I'm happy to be involved in that, Chris, and it is right to be to us, but to talk to the neighbors. I know Todd Loker, I mean, it's not, his position isn't going to change. And I'm not even saying that there's a fix to this, but there's some missing conversation, and I would happy to be part of that, unless one of my other colleagues would prefer. I mean, it's a new mayor that I don't have a relationship yet with the new mayor, but they would want to know too, new city administrator, although, you know, Lauren is the clerk who was in Worthington. She's an amazing woman. She's now their clerk. So, you know, we'll build connections. So Jay, I know you may know more folks out in Farley. I don't know if you know the new mayor. He's been on the council for years.
Jay Hapel, is that who you're referring to?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went to school with him, both in high school and college. So I'm familiar with him and his wife, very good people. I mean, I think you could certainly talk to the city. That would make sense. I think, try to understand how many citizens are we involving. Are we talking about 4? Are we talking about, more when you start asking around the neighborhood? It's a tough one to solve. I mean, I personally can share my experiences with John Deere and the railroad. They're both right behind me, and I hear both. And yes, the railroad is a lot louder and a lot more consistent. But I think just to talk about, see, the scope of the problem is, how many citizens are we talking about? And then is there a potential corrective action we can take? It sounds like you're focusing on the salt shed, but that's only seasonal. Is that correct? So there must be, annual noise that's causing irritation as well.
Yeah, there was little or no comments about non-winter time there. The biggest comments had to do with as soon as we had any type of snowfall that required equipment to be operating, that's what we were dealing with.
Well, the good news is that's when people's windows are usually closed. So, at least we've in the morning, if it's snowing and our crews are out late early, they're going to be out late and early, because that's what we're here for, is public safety, to make sure that the roads are clear, and we need salt to do that.
Yeah, with OSHA, you can't unhook the backup alarms. I don't know if there's a way of turning them down somewhat.
They're at the rated decibel level. We can't do anything to change that, or we're going to be in trouble.
Right. So, guess we'll just have to. I don't know if Ann wants to.
No, I'll work with you, Chris. I'll work with you, Chris. Well, I'll work with you, and we'll talk to some folks and see what we can. We'll at least have a Board of Supervisor conversation with the citizens there. And it's a few homes, or Todd Loker and whoever he thinks impacted. I mean, it appears to be seasonal, it's situational, it's the snow. They need the work done. Their city is producing some of the same slime problems. I think they just want to be heard. I heard some complaint, and early on when I was first elected, we must have been out there a lot that winter. And then, it goes away when we're not there seasonally. So I'm happy to do that, and then Chris, we can feel like I'll work with you on it.
Yeah, and I'd be willing to assist with it. I know Jay very well. And maybe just a 10-foot wood fence would be enough to.
That was one of the things I pulled, was all the studies and stuff for sound attenuation. And it would have to be a double-sided wood fence. It would have to be a minimum of 10 feet tall, if not taller, because you get a lot of stuff that bounces over because of the height of the buildings around there. And that fence would cost more than the other fence would.
Isn't there also a lighting concern they had? At one time, I thought there was a lighting concern as well, that the light was different.
I think there was one.
Right.
That's been a couple years.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for bringing it. I'll spend some time. Sounds like Harley's got people. It's possible Mayor Hayfield doesn't know. If it's just
Jay
a few
was
houses.
the mayor previously, so I'm sure he's aware of it. So, actually, I think he's on vacation now. I think he's down in Florida, to be honest with you, but or he was. He may be back now, but.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris?
Okay. Anything else for me then?
I have nothing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That would conclude our last work session. I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you, colleagues.
Have a good week.